This is Black Sheep Radio, WOOL FM 91.5 in the southern Vermont and New Hampshire borderlands, or streaming anywhere there's internet from wool.fm. There's a show coming up fast at the Intimate Wyndham Ballroom right behind me here in Bellows Falls this Saturday, May 14th. If it's not already on your radar, you might want it to be. Sam Baker's coming back to town. He's bringing Carrie Elkin with him again. There are details and tickets available online at popolomeanspeople.com or pop over to Popolo Restaurant. Or just keep listening now because I've got Sam Baker on the phone. Hello, Mr. Baker.
Hello, Mark. How are you? I'm doing great.
I'm going to play a song in just a minute for any listeners who aren't already familiar with the music yet, but there's something I want to get to first. You seem to be a pretty well-read guy.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but I read a lot.
Were you always a reader?
Always. Yeah, I'm a reader.
There are amazing quotes on the website, sambakermusic.com, especially in the Art and Friends tab, and your lyrics get a lot of praise for being poetic and spare.
The stuff on the website, you know, Mark, you and I can dig into stuff and try to find what makes sense, but so much of what I think is intuitive and wise has been around for a long time. You know, you can read some of that stuff, Socrates, Philo, a long, long time ago. Those people, you know, they were just as smart as we were. They didn't have, like, iPads or anything, but, man, they had an insight to how we live and get along with each other or don't get along with each other.
It was interesting. I read somewhere that some of the influences for your songwriting include Ernest Hemingway, William Faulkner, Ken Kesey.
Kesey, right. Sometimes a Great Notion, I thought, was a stunning book. You know, that Sometimes a Great Notion is taken from that line. It's from Leadbelly. That good night, I read, sometimes I take a great notion to jump into the river and drown.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he was an innovative writer, and I thought that book, Sometimes a Great Notion, got into family and the way families work or don't work. Like Tolstoy said, you know, all healthy families are pretty much the same, but if you put them in the unhealthy category, it kind of gets interesting.
And that kind of leads into this. I'm going to play a track now it's from your album Mercy, but this one's a live version that you did with Carrie Elkin, who's going to be here with you on Saturday. And it's coming from a CD DVD that's coming out later this year, A Night at the Folly. You want to talk about that?
Well, we are in the process right now of editing it. It's been the soundtrack has been mastered, and there's a million tiny steps, and we are taking those million steps one tiny step at a time. And at some point, right now it looks like there's so many steps I don't know where they lead, but my job is just to take that one tiny step and then take another tiny step, and my guess is we'll get to a completion at some point. And that's that quote from, and I can never remember if it's Salinger or who talks about writing a novel. He said it was like driving in a heavy fog. You can't see very far, but you can make the whole trip that way.
Yeah. Is there anything, do you want to introduce the song Waves?
No, it's a sweet song. It's a romantic song about the endurance of love, which I think is one of my core beliefs, that great winds pass over us and the earth changes. The thing that remains after everything is love.
There's so many years, so many hardships, so many laughs, so many tears, so many things to remember, 'cause they had 50 years. And now the kids, they got their own kids, and their own kids are grown. She told him not to worry, said he'd be fine when she was gone. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray, writes her name in the sand. Waves wash it away. There are seagulls circling shrimp boats. They turn inside the bay. There's an emptiness inside. It never goes away. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray, writes her name in the sand. Waves wash it away. There's so many years, so many hardships. There's so many laughs, so many tears. So many things he cannot remember, 'cause they had 50 years. He walks down to the ocean, bends to touch the water, kneels to pray, writes her name in the sand. Waves wash it away. He writes her name in the sand, and waves, oh, they wash it away.
That was a live version of the song Waves from Sam Baker's upcoming CD and video, A Night at the Folly, with Carrie Elkin. What a voice.
What a voice. What a spirit.
How did you two hook up musically? How'd that happen?
We met in Austin. We had common friends, and they saw something in each of us as individuals and started getting us together for these shows as separate players. And as we played, it became clear at some point that we should begin playing together, and now we're very close friends. I was fortunate enough, Mark, to be the officiant at her wedding with another dear friend of mine and now her husband, Danny Schmidt, who's a great writer and singer. So it's a small, beautiful world that I am grateful to have been given a part in.
Your album, Say Grace, was named as one of the top 10 country music albums of 2013 by Rolling Stone. Country? Really?
Well, I don't know. I don't really try to put things in boxes because I'm not very good at that. But I think people need a reference point or something to say it's in the general range of something. And I'm not sure where I fit. Don't fit really anywhere. It was like just a box I think that magazine could put me in, which I'm fine. You know, it's fine. They could have put me in classical, I guess, and I would have been okay.
Well, maybe there's some spiritual legitimacy to it. You grew up in a town even smaller than Bellows Falls.
Oh my goodness, much smaller. Yeah, it was tiny, and it's one of those towns that did well in the 40s and 50s, and once all the jobs went away, boy, it went down.
That happened here in Bellows Falls too.
I know. You know, I travel a lot, Mark, and there's a lot of places that are doing really, really well, and they're alive and vibrant. And there's a lot of old America that's really struggling.
So Itasca, Texas, population 1,500, just over 1 square mile big.
That's it.
And it's in the Texas prairie, the part where it's transitioning from green to brown.
Correct.
And somehow you became a river rat?
I did. I was restless. I was a restless person. When I was young, like many young people, they have too much energy to really be inside all day long. And I finally got to a point where I understood that it was better to be aware of that and act on it and go. Well, I went out to Big Bend one time and crest the ridge and saw it and made the decision right there to quit my job and go live in the desert.
Outstanding. And now we're getting too old for that kind of thing.
I am too old for that kind of thing.
You're based in Austin now, Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir.
What is it about Texas, and especially Austin? What is it?
Austin it has water. It has a river that runs through it. Its climate is on the edge of where a lot of Gulf storms make their way to, so it doesn't really get into the desert. And I think it's got a vibrant university community. And, you know, I've been all over the world, but I have too much family around Texas, and I believe so strongly in, you know, the people that I'm close to try to be helpful and available to them when they need it. So, you know, it's either Austin or be on a jet someplace all the time.
Austin sounds like a good choice.
You know, it's a lovely town, and it's growing real fast. But there are so many wonderful places in the world. It just so happens that I have family. And I think that's the reason I think I chose that wonderful place. But really, I've been all over the world, and there are so many magic places. But for me, to be close to the people that I have known for so long, and where I have a sense of connection, I find that helpful in my life, and I find it helpful in my art. I think almost everything I do artistically comes from those old stories. Marquez, that great writer who wrote 100 Years of Solitude, he said that he wrote those stories, and only those stories that he had learned that had come to him before the age of 5.
The rest of us have a hard time getting... I can't do that.
Me neither. I have trouble with writing out a set list.
It's been just a few years now. You cut off the hair. Why?
Oh, I did some major life changes. You know, I was living a little faster than I think was healthy, and I made a number of pretty big changes, and they all have been good and I think healthy. And that was part of it. Part of it was waking up every day and dealing with that day and trying to make the best of whatever that day brings.
Okay, maybe I buried the lead. Maybe this is old news. Maybe you're tired of talking about it, but 30 years ago, next month, you got really messed up.
I did. I don't mind talking about it. I went through a terrible thing. The people beside me and across me all died in a terrible, terrible fashion. And for a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to revisit it. I didn't want to think about it. But in some way, it's part of what I am supposed to do. So much of those records that I've done refer back to that incident. I was on a train. Somebody blew the train up. Terrorists blew the train up and killed the people I was sitting with. And once that happened, it was it was difficult to survive. I had a cut artery and later on had gangrene and renal failure. It was difficult, and I went through a lot of surgeries and went through a lot of, not to be cliche, but it was pretty standard post-traumatic stress and pretty standard survivor's guilt. You know, if the boy, the young man beside you is chopped up by shrapnel and you live, it's hard to sometimes wake up and figure out how that randomness works in the world.
I think I would have been just filled with rage, hate, and distrust.
I was.
How'd you get past that?
It took time. It took time. It took time, and at one point, the young man, the German boy, Stefan, came back to me one day, and it was on that day that he came back. Look, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I feel like I'm the reporter here. But he came back one day. You know, he was long dead, and I was full of rage and full of booze and pills. And him coming back was the trigger that started a process where I could be grateful just to be alive. Here today, we're sitting in Cambridge, Mass, and you know there's a car alarm going off for like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And you know, in the olden days, I could be pretty anxious and pretty resentful of whoever let their car go on. Or today, I could be like, wow, what a nice part of the fabric of the world. This Impala that's just going to run its battery down.
So you lived through one of a xenophobe's worst fears, but somehow didn't turn into one.
Yeah, that's tricky. It would have been easy to stay in that place of rage. And I see that throughout the world today, the rage that does so many awful things. And I've very gently tried to say that path is not helpful. Not helpful for the individual, wasn't helpful for me, and it's not helpful for us as a group.
I read somewhere that in the wake of that, you said that making music wasn't really your choice.
It wasn't. You know, I'm not by nature a musician. I know real musicians, and I'm not one. But it was a vehicle that came to me that said what I needed to say, how I needed to say it, and that's what I used. Had I been trained as a painter, I probably would have been a painter.
But you are a painter.
I am now, but at that time, I knew nothing. I had no sense of art, no sense of music.
There's a quote from you. I think in many ways, everybody's a survivor. It's just a little bit more obvious in my case.
Yeah, everybody's got stories. Everybody has at some point had the weight of the world on their shoulders. And some people, mine came so quick and had such an easy to understand story, but you know, somebody like here passing by whose husband or wife or mother or father is struggling right now, they know are the people that have gone through really terrible car wrecks or motorcycle wrecks or gotten mixed up in drugs or something. You know, everybody's been through something, and a lot of people have really been through terrific stuff, terrifically hard stuff, and they've come out the other side. But a lot of people don't. That's the very interesting thing. There's some people that do come out and find a way to be of help and be of service, and there are other people that are lost. They get washed out to the great sea of loneliness or whatever.
So being a student of humanity and of yourself seems to have made you into the kind of an artist that people can relate to.
I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes I think that's right. You know, as an artist, I think we try to do what we believe to be right. I think it's always miraculous when it resonates with somebody else. But that's never been my intent. The intent was try to be as clear about stuff as I can be clear. And I have been fortunate enough that a lot of times what I've said resonates with something in other people. It resonates with a truth inside them. And that's the only way art works. If art hits something in you that reminds you of something that you know to be real in your life, emotionally real or physically real, or reminds you of your sister or your brother or your grandmother or something, then yeah, I think that's why it works.
Wow. We've been talking with Sam Baker, and he's going to be appearing with Carrie Elkin at the Wyndham Ballroom here in Bellows Falls, Saturday, May 14th. That's, count down the hours. Doors are at 8 o'clock. The show is at 8:30. You can find details and tickets online at popolomeanspeople.com. Head over to the restaurant. Tickets are $22 in advance, 26th day of show, which is a bargain. You can find more info about Sam Baker at sambakermusic.com. Thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Mark, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to being back in Bellows Falls. And I will be with the beautiful Carrie Elkin, who sings like an angel.
I'm going to go out on the song Road Crew. It's from the Say Grace album. You want to give it an intro?
No, it's, I like the sha-la-las.
Travel safe, Sam.
You too. Thank you, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Sunday morning, road crew in the rain, billboards, beer cans, street cleaners block my lane. They're sweeping up the hearts, that's what they say. They're sweeping up the hearts, they're putting love away. Flagman, so go slow, or double fines. Radio, talk shows, flashing signs for brake shops, for batteries, for new and rebuilt parts. Guys in hard hats, sweeping up the hearts. Sha-la-la, 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 la-la, sha-la, sha-la-la, sha-la-la, la-la-la. They're sweeping up the hearts, that's what they say. They're sweeping up the hearts, they're putting love away. They're putting love away. Sunday morning, road crew